Welcome back to Tanya in 5. The last few days we have been studying chapter 48. A number of times in the preceding chapters, the Alter Rebbe enjoined us to consider and contemplate the greatness of God. Specifically, in the context of the last two chapters, the Alter Rebbe tells us to think of God as the great and awesome King who descends from his lofty palace and comes to our lowly state of being and offers us the opportunity to become one with him through Torah and mitzvahs. And in this way, we fall in love with God. So in order to truly feel this love, I need to understand, number one, God's greatness. What does this mean that he is this great and lofty king? And number two, what does it mean that he descends to my world to become one with me? In chapter 48, the Alter Rebbe is going to focus on the greatness of God. In 49, we're going to discuss the manner in which God descends to our world to become one with us, and what the response should be from my end and how I relate back to God. So to chapter 48 and God's greatness. Everything that exists has two elements. The first element is the very fact that it exists. This element is true of everything, simply because everything exists. Whether we're talking about an angel or an ant, the earth, the sun, and everything in between, they all share this common fact. They all are in a state of existence. The second element is the manner in which you exist. An angel experiences existence as an angel. An ant experiences existence as an ant. The sun as the sun. The earth as the earth, and so on and so forth. So, the fact that something exists is true for everything that exists. The manner in which that thing exists is unique to it. No two things exist in exactly the same manner. These two elements come from two manners in which God relates and interacts with our world. The first is, God is everywhere. God himself is infinite and transcendent and beyond any limits. And because he's beyond any limits, he is everywhere. Whether we're talking about the bowels of the earth or the highest spiritual levels, he is equally everywhere. That's number one. Number two, there's the fact that God has so chosen to give each creation a particular tiny, finite amount of energy for it to exist in that particular way. So here we have these two elements. God is everywhere, he's infinite and transcendent, and he decided he wants things to exist, and therefore they all exist equally. On the other hand, God also chooses to give a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of his divine light to be invested in each particular creation so that it could live and experience life in that particular fashion. Now, because God is transcendent, and he is everywhere equally, and everything exists as a result of the fact that he exists everywhere and wants these things to exist, therefore, he has intimate knowledge of everything that exists. Because it's all within him, he is everywhere, and they all exist only because he wants them to. But that knowledge that God has of our reality is only from his perspective, because he is the transcendent, infinite one who is everywhere, and therefore automatically knows everything. But from our perspective, we cannot possibly understand or comprehend that which is infinite. And it's not just us who cannot comprehend infinite. Nothing can comprehend infinite except for God himself. Even the loftiest of angels is still finite. The loftiest of spiritual worlds is still finite and could not comprehend the infinite presence of God, and therefore could not comprehend the infinite knowledge of God, of our reality. What we do experience is just that tiny little bit of energy that God invests in us to be in existence in a particular form as we are. I experience life, and therefore I experience God as a human. The angel experiences life, and therefore experiences God as an angel, the earth as the earth, the ant as the ant, and so on and so forth. This then is the greatness of God. Number one, the transcendent infinite, which is everywhere equally. And number two, the fact that God has chosen to invest a particular amount and a particular type of energy to create each particular creation in its particular way. The takeaway from all of this is, sometimes when we think of God as transcendent and infinite and great, we end up feeling very distant from him. Because what do I have a relationship with the infinite? And that's true from my end, because I'm incapable of experiencing and understanding the infinite. But from God's perspective, precisely because He is transcendent, precisely because He is infinite, and precisely because I cannot comprehend that infinite, is why He exists everywhere, and therefore is intimately connected and informed and feels everything I am going through. Looking forward to seeing you when we conclude chapter 49.